Hello, sunshine. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Pumped to be right here with you. There's no momentum like momentum, so let's get our energy up, and start this week off strong. I'm Coy Wire. This is CNN 10, and we start today with an update on the latest news on the situation in Israel and Gaza. Conditions in Gaza have deteriorated. On Friday, Israel's military dropped leaflets on Gaza's largest city, urging roughly 1 million residents to move south for their own safety. Many people there have since been trying to flee ahead of an expected ground invasion, but over the weekend that's proven to be exceedingly difficult. We'll hear more now about the current situation, and I do want to warn you that some of the material we're about to see might be tough to watch.
Dozens of Palestinians dig through rubble, desperately searching for survivors in the aftermath of an airstrike. More than half of Gaza's 2 million residents who live in the northern section of the Strip were told to evacuate ahead of an anticipated Israeli ground assault on Hamas. But leaving is also deadly. An apparent explosion Friday along a main evacuation route killed a number of people, including children. The IDF says Hamas was responsible.
It appears that they've physically prevented people from moving from north to south, and also it appears that they have booby-trapped some of the roads.
Even emergency crews are not safe from the constant barrage. Hospitals in the area, already struggling, are now overwhelmed.
We considered it a humanitarian chronic emergency over many, many years, and now it's a complete catastrophe.
There are major gaps in food, water, shelter, sanitation. People now are being forced into these unsanitary, overcrowded settings, risks of disease outbreaks.
Lack of electricity, along with food and water shortages in both the northern and southern parts of Gaza, are becoming very real concerns.
I am searching here under the rubble for the remains of lentils and rice.
Many who've taken refuge in a UN-run school sleep on the ground and try to comfort their families.
It's a tragedy. There's no water, no electricity, and I have no money. I'm standing here and hungry, wondering what's left.
Palestinians who hold foreign passports are also in dire straits. The only remaining route out of Gaza is through Egypt. Egypt's foreign minister says the crossing is open, but the roads are so damaged they are impassable, even for humanitarian aid.
Up next, the folks in charge of the shipping industry have promised to cut down on their earth-warming emissions and go carbon neutral by the year 2050. Now, too much CO2 in the atmosphere is bad in that it can supercharge the Earth's natural greenhouse effect, warming the planet. So, going carbon neutral means the shipping industry plans to take steps to remove the equivalent amount of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to what it's emitted through their activities of their business. To do this, they're looking at using cleaner fuels like electric and wind power as opposed to burning fossil fuels. So many of the things we use in our daily lives are shipped across the ocean.
We've gone from rowing to sail to steam, steam to the oil sector, and now we're moving to a new transition.
Bells and whistles that can be put on ships. We also now have wind assist technology. Our top priority right now must be the transition to the new zero-emission fuels and technologies. If you look around your home, the clothes that you're wearing, the food that you put on the table, almost all of that has come across the ocean. And at any given time, there are as many as 50,000 large cargo vessels traversing the high seas. In terms of the global pie, as we call it, for carbon emissions, maritime is only responsible for about 3%, which sounds like a small number, but is actually, if it were a nation, it would be equivalent to a major G7 economy like Japan or Germany. And unfortunately, under business as usual, those emissions are predicted to at least double by 2050. Decarbonizing the shipping sector can have great benefits beyond just reducing carbon emissions. Reductions in local air pollution, lots of new jobs producing these new fuels. We also have the potential to address other issues like ocean noise pollution.
We need to look urgently at the efficiency savings that can be made, whether it's wind propulsion, whether it's bubbles on ships, hull design, even operating procedures. And these have multiple benefits.
Of course, these new wind-propelled ships are different than the olden days, and there's a lot of innovation happening in this space. There are going to be some challenges because ports may need to make some changes to be able to accept these vessels as they come into port. It'll be interesting to see about maintenance, making sure that these technologies are safe, but all of these challenges are surmountable. Even if we did all of that, we would only be able to reduce emissions by about 50%. Shipping has benefited for a very long time from its ability to use very inexpensive residual fuels that are essentially what's left over after oil has been refined for other purposes. So it's very polluting.
The biggest issue is availability of zero-emission fuels. There aren't any on the market at scale, and what there are very small amounts requiring an awful lot of electricity, and the price is astronomical at the moment.
Most commentators predict that in the future we'll have a mix of different fuels. As we look to the future, some people believe that ammonia will actually be a really important scalable fuel that can actually significantly come down in cost as we gain scale. If we can address the safety concerns, in the meantime, methanol is being deployed already now in very, very small quantities. And then in the longer run, we'll probably see electrification, we'll see the use of fuel cells, and perhaps some approaches that we haven't even come up with yet.
10-second trivia. How old was the asteroid NASA collected material from back in September? 450,000 years old, 4.5 million years old, 4.5 billion years old, or 4.5 trillion years old? If you said 4.5 billion years old with a B, you are correct. That's how old the asteroid Bennu is estimated to be. Asteroids are on NASA's mind big time. NASA's Falcon Heavy rocket lifted off Friday from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida for a colossal journey of 2.2 billion miles, or 3.6 billion kilometers. This mission is scheduled to happen over the next 6 years, and the ultimate destination? A metal-rich asteroid called 16 Psyche, which orbits around the sun between Mars and Jupiter.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, engine ignition. And
a NASA spacecraft named Psyche embarking on a 2.2 billion mile journey. That's 3.6 billion kilometers over the next 6 years. The destination? A metal-rich asteroid named 16 Psyche that orbits the sun between Mars and Jupiter. The asteroid, whose diameter is roughly the length of Massachusetts, will be the first metal space object that humans have ever visited. Scientists hypothesize that Psyche was formed when a rocky planet lost its surface after colliding with other bodies, exposing the metallic core. One could almost call Psyche's mission a journey to the center of the Earth, even though it's in outer space. Since humans can't drill a path to Earth's core, asteroids like Psyche may be our only chance to visit something like it.
So we're going to learn about, when we get to Psyche, a previously unstudied ingredient that went into making our habitable Earth, and that is the metal that is now in the Earth's core and the cores of all of the rocky planets, cores that we can never visit, but cores that we want to learn about.
The Psyche spacecraft is expected to reach the asteroid in 2029, and during its 6-year journey, it'll first cruise through interplanetary space for several years, then slingshot from Mars into the asteroid belt before arriving at Psyche. It'll then orbit the asteroid for more than 2 years, taking images, mapping, and studying the metallic object.
For today's story, getting a 10 out of 10, let's give them pumpkin to talk about. Steve Cooney from Lebanon, Missouri, just set the record for longest voyage by a pumpkin vessel by floating in this massive 1,200-pound pumpkin a whopping 39 miles on the Missouri River. The previous record was 37.5 miles. Cooney had to hollow out enough of the pumpkin to be able to squeeze into it in the kneeling position with his legs folded under him. Let the gourd times roll. This journey lasted nearly 11 hours. That's what I'm talking about, my gorgeous people. Today's special shout out goes to Mr. Britain's social studies class in Snoqualmie Middle School in Washington. Rise up. Thanks for subscribing and commenting on our YouTube page for your shout out on my pumpkins. I'll pat you later, people. I'm Coy Wire, and we are CNN 10.